What's good, YouTube? We back again with another video. This is the part 3. I haven't done it in a while. I think I only did part 1 and 2, but this is part 3 to the New York's deadliest gang war. The Bronx versus Harlem. This is pretty much the video that y'all said I needed to watch to understand the gangs and what's going on and shit out in fucking New York. So this is part 3. From when we last left off, and yeah, let's get to it.
St. John's University following his high school graduation. In an interview with the Bronx drill rapper Shimi, he would go on to explain that Diddy wasn't in fact in the streets and was strictly a baller.
I'm like, yo, did he just play ball or was he in the streets? You know what I'm saying?
When that first happened, niggas told me, hey, niggas, that's what happened when we were in the streets. He was not in the streets, bro.
Wow.
That's why niggas be mad when they diss him, because shit don't make no sense.
Wow.
Like, a op didn't do that for me.
Yeah. It's
Rest in peace, Diddy. YGs would go on to diss Diddy, which is crazy. As like I said, Diddy had no gang ties and was a civilian. This factor didn't stop members like D-Thang from mentioning him within New York drill tracks. In his popular song G's Bop, D-Thang would name multiple dead people, including Diddy, followed by him doing a basketball shoot. This was highly disrespectful as Diddy was a well-known baller. Around a week following the shooting that killed B. Diddy, on the 7th of July 2020, a 15-year-old YG's member known locally as Raw G's would be walking down Prospect Avenue. At around 3:30 p.m., rival gang members would notice Raw G's, shooting him in the back. The assailants fled after the shooting, with Raw G's then making his way around the block toward his home. Luckily, Raw G's survived this shooting. Sadly, only a year later, however, he would have been shot in a very similar attack. This time, however, he wouldn't be as lucky and would fall victim to the streets. In July 2020, K-Flock and B-Love would link up and would drop the New York drill anthem titled Op Spotter around a month following the death of B. Diddy. This track really showed off K-Flock's potential as a Bronx drill rapper and has amassed around 12 million views on YouTube. 2020 also saw the rise of young rappers from the OY collective. Example being E.Baby, who was making a big noise within the New York drill scene, dropping tracks like Ready for War, which sits on an impressive 5.6 million views. This factor being made crazier when you come to learn that E.Dot was only 15 years old. In August 2020, D-Thang would drop the New York drill anthem titled Caution. In this track, you can hear him diss his rivals from OGs, OY, and also DOA, rapping that him and other YGs would spin Sugar Hill, home to the OY gang. September 2020 would actually prove to be a very deadly month within the beef, leading to the deaths of around 3 people, all within a 1-month time gap. On the 10th of September 2020, Dubsky, who was from the crew known as Vadaland, allied with the YGs under the Fours Alliance, would get into a confrontation with rival members. Dubsky would attempt to flee the members before sadly tripping over and falling to the ground. The attacker then ran up to him, standing over him and shooting him once in the head, killing him. This entire attack was caught on CCTV, but is way too shocking to show on YouTube. The news that Dubsky had died would reach his ops first.
Today I'm going to make a beat for NBA Youngboy. We're going to...
I low-key would have heard that bit.
With K-Flock even creating the famous ad-lib mocking him, this being "Don't Run, Don't Trip," which he said on his popular track Is Ya Ready, followed by him as well as the DOA crew screaming Dubsky's name. The violence wouldn't end there, and on the 12th of September, 2 days later, the 23-year-old member associated with the OGs, known locally as Yellow, would be sitting in a car with a friend outside of the Jackson houses in Morris Heights. A gunman noticed the pair and slowly approached, opening fire on Yellow in the car. Yellow was hit in the head, whilst another 26-year-old was shot in the groin. Yellow sadly died on the scene, with the other man being rushed to Lincoln Hospital, in which he made a steady recovery. The attack was thought to have been a get-back for Dubsky in the days earlier, with it being confirmed that an older YG's member known as Day Day Flocka was the alleged killer of Yellow, going on to be charged with his murder. It's also alleged a few other YG's members would be arrested for the murder. Rest in peace, Yellow. During this time of warfare, rappers from each side would be releasing rude drill anthems that racked up millions of streams. D-Thang released one of his biggest tracks, titled Bunny Hop, on the 1st of November 2020. This track currently sitting on 4.7 million views. At the end of 2020, K-Flock, Dougie B, and Shaw EK would drop a track titled No More Free Dougie B. This gained millions of views. When looking back, it looks quite crazy having K-Flock and Shaw EK on the same track, as only months following this, K-Flock would begin to have a rivalry with both Shaw EK and E.Baby from OY. This was supposedly due to the fact E.Dot was hanging with K-Flock's ops, and Shaw EK was then forced into picking a side. His decision was obviously to side with E.Dot from OY, beginning to beef K-Flock. It would actually be around 2 weeks following the release of this No More Free Dougie B track that a member of DOA close with K-Flock would be shot dead outside of a deli, this then heavily affecting K-Flock. On the 23rd of December 2020, 16-year-old JB from the DOA crew would be standing outside of a deli within the Bronx. In a moment captured on CCTV, a man would slowly approach JB, and whilst it looked as if the two men were friends, the man would go on to get out a gun, and in a shocking turn of events, shot JB in the head. Rivals would be quick to start dissing JB, with a question as to who killed JB also flying around the internet, with it being rumored that the death of JB wasn't work of a rival, but instead a man with severe mental illness, with it being thought it was a random act of violence. Rest in peace, JB. Now, remember I said K-Flock dropped a track titled No More Free Dougie B. Well, this was actually because Dougie B had just been released from prison and was beginning to get active within the Bronx scene. In March 2021, the rapping trio Dougie B, K-Flock, and B Love would drop the extremely popular track Brotherly Love, which sits on a whopping 40 million views. In the third verse on the track, K-Flock rapped the lyric, "And forever JB we gon' go dumb. Me and Doug's rapping. I hope that we blow up." This line showing love to his dead friend JB. It's also as if K-Flock knew that he was going to be successful within the Bronx drill scene, as only months after this, his career would explode into the mainstream, cementing him as one of the most well-known Bronx drill rappers. However, due to his gang ties, he would end up committing a broad daylight murder in a $4,000 outfit, wearing unreleased Jordans, this then subsequently ending in his arrest. A name that is often disrespected within the Bronx drill scene is that of Delilah. Delilah Vasquez was a 20-year-old girl who was supposedly close with drilly members. On the 17th of March 2021, she was shot in the head in an apartment on Hull Avenue. The attackers then fled the scene, with it being reported they were Blood Gang members. However, in an indictment on the Drilly Gang, it would come out that members of the Drilly Gang would be charged with the murder, which is crazy as Drilly members and Delilah were close. It's rumored that a gun accidentally went off and killed her. Rest in peace, Delilah. Delilah was actually dissed in a Lil TJ preview, which is crazy as he has escaped the hood and is making millions of dollars from the music industry. In April 2021, police would be called to 174th Street in Crotona. Upon arriving on the scene, 18-year-old Taco Guns from the YG's gang was suffering multiple gunshot wounds to his arm. He would be rushed to hospital and luckily would make a steady recovery. It's believed the shooting was carried out by rival gang members. This came out in a 2023 indictment, which targeted 12 members of a Bronx gang. The members would be charged with 110 charges, ranging from attempted murder, and violent robberies. One of the charges would be the shooting of Taco Guns in April 2021. Now, the shooting of Taco Guns would be one of many incidents that would lead to summer 2021, being one of the bloodiest and most dangerous summers, resulting in the gun violence within the Bronx, soaring to heights not seen since 1996. This all following the tragic shooting of a 19-year-old, known locally as Ty Swish.
Damn,
Game of Thrones, King's Road.
Ew.
On the 7th of July 2021, Tyquil Doherty, known locally as Ty Swish, would be standing outside of his apartment building within the Bronx. It's important to note that Ty Swish wasn't directly a member of any gangs, but was known to be friends with a few members of the YGs. Anyways, just before midnight, members believed to have been from the Rayway DOA gang would pull up, shooting Ty Swish multiple times, killing him on the scene. It's also believed that a 13-year-old DOA member known locally as J-Rip was present when Ty Swish was shot dead. Upon hearing the news about Ty Swish's passing, members associated with the YGs would be planning a get-back, and only around 4 days later, the 13-year-old DOA member J-Rip that was present at the killing of Ty Swish would be shot dead. On the 11th of July 2021, just 4 days after the shooting of Ty Swish, 13-year-old J-Rip from the DOA Rayway gang would be standing outside of Angel's Cafe on East 187th Street. It's believed he was standing with FBN Bobby, who was associated with Third Side. At around 3:15 p.m., a black vehicle approached J-Rip. A gunman then stepped out of the car and began shooting toward J-Rip, who was hit multiple times. FBN Bobby then began to run, with J-Rip then crawling into the Angel's Cafe before dying on the scene. A murder investigation would be launched following this, and would see the arrests of Taco Guns, that same teen that was shot in his arm, as well as another YG's member known as Jaw Squeeze. It was even alleged that a YG's member known as Raw G's was present when J-Rip was shot dead, and would be one of the first rivals beginning to disrespect J-Rip, and would start to go live on Instagram dissing him. Sadly, however, under 9 hours later, Raw G's would have been shot once again. However, sadly, this time he wouldn't be as lucky as the first time, and would sadly fall victim to the streets. Around 8 hours following the deadly shooting that claimed the life of J-Rip, at 11:30 p.m., YG's member Raw G's would be in the back of a taxi on the way to a music studio. In a moment captured on CCTV, two men on scooters would pull up next to the car window and began shooting into the car. Raw G's was hit multiple times and died on the scene. Rest in peace, Raw G's. Since the death of Raw G's, he has become one of the most disrespected names within the Bronx. Before his death, he had even had a back and forth with the popular DOA rapper K Flock. In K Flock's track with C Blue titled What Y'all Wanna Do, he would rap "Rah rah, saw me, he ain't let it clap. Ask him how much I threw back." Raw G's would hear this diss and would respond in his own track in which he rapped, "Yo KK, now let's talk the facts. Anytime that they threw, I threw back. C Blue, you a kid, you ain't smoking on Matt." Hours following the death of Raw G's, police would be called to East 184th Street and Washington Avenue. Upon arrival, Dougie B was discovered with a gunshot wound to the leg. It's believed the shooter was the same YG's member that was shot in the arm, this once again being Taco Guns, who has gone on to be arrested and charged for the shooting. Luckily, Dougie B survived the shooting, although he's often mocked by rivals, who have started to shout "my leg" in disrespect toward him. Yus G's from the YG's would actually release an entire diss track toward this incident, this being titled Dougie Bop, and featured multiple lyrics dissing Dougie B, even rapping, like "Fuck Dougie, he had to move. I heard he was yelling my leg when they threw." In 2021, new younger members of OY would begin to get active within the streets. Example of this being both Naughty Osama and Didi Osama, who were both brothers. Naughty Osama would release the track titled Aftermath in 2021. This showed off the potential that Naughty had, only being 13 years old at the time. Sugar Hill Keem, Blockwork, and E. Baby would also be exploding and would be putting the OY gang on the map. Sugar Hill Keem and Blockwork released the very popular track titled Move Look, which exploded, and currently sits on 12.6 million views. The New York Police Department would begin to look into the gangs involved with this war, and were slowly gathering information on the members of the YGs. And whilst it looked as if the deadly summer had ended, another murder would spark get-back killings in Manhattan and the Bronx. On the 26th of July, 2021, a 2Woo member from Manhattan known as Matt Sav would be walking on Frederick Douglass Boulevard. At around 10 p.m., two attackers, one from the OY gang and one from the OGs, would pull up on a bike. The members then shot Matt Sav multiple times in the torso. Matt Sav was rushed to hospital. Sadly, however, he would be pronounced dead upon reaching the hospital, with yet another murder investigation being launched. It's rumored that the attackers were PJ Glizzy from the OGs and Sugar Hill Mel from OY, with PJ Glizzy currently awaiting trial for the death of Matt Sav. Rest in peace, Matt Sav. Now, PJ Glizzy.
Damn, we gonna stop it there. God damn. That shit crazy. What the fuck? They got a lot of shit going on. They got a lot of shit going. Damn, niggas was getting smoked left and right, bro. I ain't gonna lie, low-key kind of fake way got confused for a second, but I kind of caught back on. Now I'm understanding it, you feel me, a little bit more. But I'm gonna catch y'all in the next part. We'll do part 4 soon. Y'all make sure y'all remind me to do part 4. Do y'all want me to do part 4 next, or y'all want me to wait a little bit? So I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video.